Questions, council?
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Bradshaw.
I will make a motion to move this forward.
Second.
Okay, unless there's no other discussion, we have a motion made by Alderman Bradshaw, seconded by Alderman Busker to move ordinance 2020-12 to the next regularly scheduled meeting. Item number 11 is the first reading of ordinance 2020-13. Madam Clerk, would you please read this?
An ordinance amending Chapter 1270 fences, Section 1270.7, fences permitted without a permit of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Freeport.
Thank you. Director Carr.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The existing ordinance states that no snow fence shall extend into the street right away unless installed by the city or a contractor having a permit with the city. This actually describes the process of a contractor protecting their own work site by placing a snow fence around the perimeter, which is pretty standard practice in most construction sites. However, this has been adapted to allow the placement of a true snow fence within the city's right-of-way. The installation of that kind of snow fence can greatly impact the removal of the snow inside the city's right-of-way, which can lead to unsafe roadway conditions. The change in this ordinance seeks to remove the ability for a contractor to install snow fence in the right-of-way and instead puts the installation of snow fence entirely with the city. Staff would request that City Council adopt the changes to Section 1270.07.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman Misick.
So, given this proposed change, have we had instances where a contractor is not following the current process, like it is actually putting that in danger?
So what we've had is we actually had residents that were contracting with contractors to put snow fences in the right of way. And in particular, which was not the way the ordinance was written, was they were following the way the ordinance was written, but that was not the intent of the ordinance. So what they were doing was they were contracting with a contractor to come in and put in a snow fence to protect their sidewalk from being plowed, from the snow going up and in not going onto the sidewalk. And both the attorney Cisnowski raised the issue that we might have an issue with whose liability, because that right of way is there to protect if a car leaves the road, or protect the individuals, or in some of the cases they've actually damaged, snowplows damaged it and it made it unsafe if people are in that area. So while it was the letter of the law, it was not the intent of the ordinance. So what we want to do is change it so we have it as the intent of the ordinance.
Okay. A follow-up? So just roughly how many instances have we had on this?
We've had one incident.
Okay.
Madam
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman Busker.
Yeah, with this, you said it's going to be up to the city to do it. So if there is a bona fide construction project, our people would go out and put the snow fence up from now on, or how's that going to work?
The construction projects that are inside the right-of-way are usually maintained by either plumbers or our crews in general. There's not many construction projects that would shift outside of a person's own property. Once you would get past the sidewalk, you would have to get a permit from us anyway. And at that point in time, we could push forward with whatever we need to do to get that construction site taken care of.
So it's not going to overtax your department at all doing this?
No.
Okay. I make a motion to move forward.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Misick to move ordinance 2020-13 onto the next regularly scheduled meeting. Item number 12 is the adoption of resolution 2020-07. Madam Clerk, could you please read this?
Resolution approving an agreement with Medical Environmental Recovery Incorporated, or MARI, regarding biohazard and drug waste removal services from the Police Department.
Chief Summer.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're looking to enter into an agreement with Mary. Historically, we've for medical waste and drug evidence and other things that we take in through the course of our duties. We have a large stockpile of things that we need to get rid of to make room. We're looking to enter into this agreement with Mary. We did some research, and they are the closest ones to us and the most economical one resource for us. There'll be a $90 handling fee up front and 70 cents per pound. We're estimating that it would be under $500 to take this evidence up and destroy them. We'll fund this through the department's use of the drug fund that's held at the police department. This kind of lines up with our strategic plan in that we're matching the industry's best practices and standards when we're destroying the evidence and medical waste.
Madam Mayor? Thank you. Chief Summers, I understood that this will free up a lot of storage space for future situations in drug busts, correct?
That's correct.
And one more follow-up, if I may. I presented this dilemma to Manager Crowe, and I said, when we had the marijuana facility, they talked about transporting medicinal marijuana with like security trucks, armed security trucks. Now, when they take these drugs and these substances up to the Mary area, or whoever that company is in Madison area, how will they be transported and how will they be protected so nothing happens to these drugs?
2 sworn police officers will be taking them up there in an unmarked vehicle at a kind of an undetermined time.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Alderman Meissen.
So Chief, you mentioned the estimated total cost around the $500 mark, so I'm assuming the $90 handling fee only is needed is that per substance?
That's one flat rate for the delivery that we take up there. So there's the flat rate and then the way the bags that we have and to determine the final cost of that.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Burberry.
Chief, once this first accumulation is taken care of, will you be going back to Madison periodically, each time with another setup fee, or just per pound?
It's possible periodically that we'd have to. This only covers 3 years, and it's been several years since we have disposed of any, which.
So you have a 3-year collection?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker.
make a motion we adopt resolution R 2027.
I will second that.
Okay, unless there's any further discussion, we have Alderman Busker's motion and seconded by Alderman Brashaw. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Ross?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Busker?
Aye.
Brescia?
Aye.
Meissick?
Aye.
Berberay.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 6-0. That is possible because we had like the parade ordinance. Also, the ratification later in the meeting might have gotten the numbers off a little.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have a typo here. So next we have adoption of Resolution 2020-11. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving a recovery agreement between the Freeport Housing Authority, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and the City of Freeport.
Thank you. Manager Crowe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the resolution presented to us by the Housing Authority from the state as it's the recovery for the inspection and issues that had been previously briefed by Director Babette. Babette, I just said your first name versus your last, the Director of the Housing Authority. And included in this, I gave you a copy at the Committee of the Whole of this resolution, a copy of their bylaws, and as well as the recovery plan, which are the enclosures to this. So you had an opportunity to view those as we are in Greta, we have the document that's signed by Greta and Babette, James Varner, and Jameson Varner in the office. Once you approve it, the big thing here is that we've had both attorneys look at it, as the city of Freeport, through its appointing authority, acknowledges the importance of the effective governance of the part of this recovery and sustainability of Freeport Housing Authority. As a signatory of this agreement, the city commits to oversee and monitor its duly appointed agents, the appointments to the Freeport Housing Authority Board, and discharging their duties. Upon the discovery of any failure of the Freeport Housing Authority Board to discharge its duties, this agreement, the city of Freeport will take all necessary steps to correct the board's actions or omissions and ensure compliance with the terms of this agreement. Just for council's just to remind council that you actually approved, I think it was 3 months ago, Michelle Richter, the Deputy Finance Director, is a member of the Housing Authority Board. So we do have a city employee that is a member of the Housing Authority Board as well. So our recommendation from the staff is approve this resolution in the intergovernmental agreement, recovery agreement between us, the Housing Authority, and the state.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Bradshaw.
thank you. Manager Crowe, who wrote this agreement?
The state did.
The state wrote all this up?
That's correct.
The only reason I'm asking, and I'm not trying to nitpick anything at all, was just the very last part, section 24, it's in Roman numerals, I believe it's XX1V, IV, that's 24, correct?
And just for clarification, Attorney Sosnowski said it was HUD that wrote it.
That's how they wrote it? Okay.
HUD wrote it.
HUD wrote it. Okay, that's good to know. I just was concerned with the last part of the statement, the city of Freeport will take all necessary steps to correct the board's actions or omissions, and I wasn't sure if we had the right to do so since it's a federal entity.
And because HUD, and thank you for that correction, Attorney Sosnowski, because HUD is the above signature, they are basically directing us to take that action.
So we have the authority to do so. And like I said, I apologize, I'm not trying to be a know-it-all or anything, I just was concerned, and I'd asked one of our aldermen who's absent tonight about that same issue, so he just said to bring it up at the meeting, and are we allowed to ask Ms. Jameson Varner if she has any comments on this, and how she sees this, since this is her, is that okay? Okay.
Babette, if you'd like to have some input there, sure.
Good evening. And I spoke with you all not too long ago, and the recovery plan is to bring the Housing Authority forward. So what HUD and I did with HUD's technical assistance was to be able to map out the things that we know the Housing Authority needs to do to be strong, to move forward, and to respond to many of the mandates that the government requires. So, I mean, I feel confident in this plan. We are, we want to sit down and be able to review the timeline, you know, with you all to make certain that it's strong, because the bottom line is that in any area of the work plan agreement, if we fail to meet those deadlines, we're in default. So our ultimate goal is to make certain that we map out a timeline, a deadline that's sufficient to meet the needs of the Housing Authority.
Alderman Parker.
Yes, who within the city is going to take on that responsibility to work with them? What agency or person? Well, if you're putting on a regulation, we gotta work with them. Who's going to be, everyone here is busy, so who's gonna have the time to do that?
Well, one of the things they're gonna come back and brief the council on a regular basis on how they're proceeding on the plan.
Okay, as long as we're signing the agreement and signing on with them, knowing the past, do we hold any liability here that it doesn't get met?
Well, we'll be held responsible by HUD.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
And to let council know, Babette and I have a very close working relationship throughout this time. we communicate with each other several times a week on this going forward, so. And we have in the past, so.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move Resolution R-2020-11 forward.
Actually, you want a motion for approval?
Approval, thank you.
Second that.
All right, if there's no further discussion, we have a motion made by Alderman Brashaw, seconded by Alderman Berberay to adopt Resolution 2020-11. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
No.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw,
Aye.
Meissick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-1.
Thank you. Item number 14 is the adoption of Resolution 2020-12. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving an Illinois Department of Human Services, IDHS, contract regarding the census.
Thank you. Assistant Hines.
Thank you. So this resolution approved the grant sub-award agreement with the Region 1 Planning Council, the Northern Region Regional Intermediary for the Illinois Department of Human Services Census Grant. So as part of the grant, the city would be reimbursed an estimated amount of $54,475 for things such as promotional materials, printed materials, newspaper, radio, and billboard ads to promote the 2020 census. The Freeport Complete Count Committee currently has events and outreach planned with the library, Amity and the Head Start program, St. Paul's, several other local churches, the school district and Ackman schools, the Senior Resource Center, Highland Community College, Park District, Kiwanis, and Rotary. So this grant would reimburse basically us being able to hold those events and hand out census items and get a complete count.
Madam Mayor?
Alderman.
Thank you. Ms. Hines, this sounds like a wonderful grant and award. Do we have any co-pays to apply for this, and how much time is this all going to take if we apply for it and perhaps win it?
So I'll answer this. We've already applied, so this was awarded to us
Okay,
because we're already a sub-applicant under, and what this is the acceptance of that. Kirsten was hired. This is one of the two reasons she was hired, and a portion of her, so her time is our match on this, but she's also being paid partially out of this. This is, so if you go back 18 months ago, we had initially submitted an application for a little over 110,000, and this is what that portion of that basically reflected.
follow up? Thank you, Ms. Hines.
Thanks.
With that, a motion for adoption of Resolution R-2020-12.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion made by Alderman Brashaw, seconded by Alderman Mike. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw,
Aye.
Meissick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 6-0.
And Madam Clerk, if you can read item number 15's recommendation.
Approval of recommendation of Downtown Revolving Loan Fund Committee for a loan to Mahoney Enterprises located at 109 West Main Street.
Thank you. Director Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. On February 7, 2020, the Downtown Revitalization Loan Fund Committee met to discuss an application for Mahoney Enterprises International, LLC, also known as MEI, for a $113,000 loan to rehabilitate a building at 109 West Main Street. The building is two stories with 4,000 square feet of space, plus a basement, and is currently vacant. The proposed use is a law offices. There are 6 jobs that would be retained. Vetting of the application was done by State Bank, which is the lead or the prime lender. State Bank will also manage and administer the loan as well. The total project costs are estimated at $602,626. The total amount of the loan is $452,626. The finance of the project will be based on the following. State Bank is loaning $189,626. The Northwest Illinois Community Development Corporation is at $150,000. The City of Freeport, through our revolving loan fund program, is $113,000, and the owner's equity is $150,000. Per our city ordinance, in agreement with the Greater Freeport Partnership, the loan commitment will not exceed 25% on the city's behalf. The term of the loan will be for 10 years based on a 20-year amortization schedule, and the city's interest rate will be at 3.5%. The loan payments will be backed by the law firm of Mahoney & Mahoney, and as I said before, State Bank will continue to administer the loan. And collateral will consist of 3 mortgages and assignment of rents and leases of the property, with State Bank in the first position, Northwest Illinois Community Development Corporation in the second position, and the city in third position. The city currently has just over $886,000 in our downtown revolving loan fund, and we're currently earning about 1.7% interest. The committee recommends that approval of this loan.
Madam Mayor?
Alderman Brashaw.
Thank you. I think this is a win-win situation for the city. I mean, we will be getting interest back, and then we will have that money then available for the next businesses that apply for the same revolving loan. And I truly believe Mahoney is a good business venture. I'm not close friends with the families, but I do know of them, and they are a good business. So I believe it'd be a good business investment for the city of Freeport to do this type of loan. The only question I have, Manager Crow, is it typical to have the city listed third in the assignment list?
So under our agreement, under the revolving loan document that was approved by this body probably a year ago, that is the way it was broken out in that body. And typically, even when we collect debts, the city is always after the banks and for collection of those loans. So the CDC is a group of banks that come together to loan money. So that's why we're in the third position. So.
Well, thank you for that explanation. I was not trying to diss any of the banks or Mahoney in asking that question. I just didn't know what was typical, and I have no qualms about this whatsoever. Anyhow, I'll leave it open for other people.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker.
make a motion for approval.
I will second that.
Any other discussion, council? Seeing none, we have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Brashaw, for the recommendation as stated. Madam Clerk, would you please read or take the vote, please?
Ross?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Busker?
Aye.
Brashaw?
Aye.
Meissick?
Aye.
And Berberay.
Aye.
The motion passes 6-0.
And if you could read item number 16 for the agreement, please.
Approval of agreement with Fairgram for 2020 additional services at landfill number 4 for a leachate collection system bypass line for cell number 23.
Thank you, Director Carr.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Earlier this year, council passed a annual services agreement with Fairgram. That is pretty typical items from year-to-year basis that help keep the landfill in compliance with IEPA. However, in the last handful of years, we've started to have an issue with some leachate buildup in the north, one of the north manholes on landfill 4. The leachate is exceeding our head limit on that manhole, and with that, if IEPA were to pop the manhole, we would definitely get a request to remediate that situation. And so the permanent fix to this would be to install a bypass line from that manhole to the current outlet, which is in the northeast corner of the landfill. This repair has actually been approved by IEPA in the past, and there was a significant modification submitted in the past, but we withdrew that. That was past city engineer. Under his recommendation, we did some bypass pumping to help keep the head down, but it keeps coming back over and over again. So the permanent fix would be that bypass line. And with those significant modifications, there comes a pretty good amount of paperwork and documentation that needs to be done in a specific manner to actually get that to pass through IEPA. So those are the first two items, which would be the the significant modification permit, and then the construction quality assurance. The leachate collection system cleaning and televising bid documents. With the issue that we're seeing in the north side, I think it was 10 years ago, or maybe even a little bit more, we did a televising and cleaning of those leachate collection in that area. It is time for us to